But speaking of jobs for the boys, former New South Wales Treasurer and before that former New South Wales Energy Minister Matt Kean he's been appointed head of the Climate Change Authority. I mean, they always love these words, authority.
You're
Funny
right,
how they
yes.
keep using the language of a dictatorship for these publicly funded climate change grifts. Now, Matt Kean has often aggressively and angrily been referred to as Matt Green by his fed-up North Shore constituents. Now, he said, and on his appointment, and I'm going to quote him here, he said, "I intend to follow the tradition. The experts tell us that I agree that if we get this transition right, we can not only put downward pressure on electricity bills for families and businesses right across the country, but protect our environment and make our economy even stronger and more prosperous for everyone forever." Craig, it feels like these politicians are on a merry-go-round of public money. Am I wrong?
It's the Climate Change Authority. You know, it's they love to put the words authority in after these government department names and so. You're right. That shows their dictatorial thing, totalitarian thinking that you've got to call yourself an authority sort of thing to do it. Right? Secondly, Kean is where he belongs. He probably belongs in the Greens, not the Liberal Party or the Labor Party. He's from the Greens, and he's found his home there. Seeing him standing hand in hand there with Chris Blackout-Bowen, announcing plans about how they're going to wreck the Australian grid, push up electricity prices and destroy the environment, that's where he belongs. That's his true spiritual home, holding hands with Chris Bowen on those things. And remember, when he's been the energy minister, we've had escalating prices here for electricity in New South Wales that he has overseen when he's been in charge. Prices have skyrocketed here in New South Wales because of this madness push for renewables. It was the New South Wales Liberal Party, remember, that basically effectively gave away those New South Wales coal-fired power stations when they privatised them, allowing a couple of clever people in the private sector to make billions because Gladys Berejiklian and Matt Kean didn't have a clue what they were doing and grossly undersold those coal-fired power stations. And to think now he's going to keep pushing on and he's going to protect the environment. Like what Bowen is planning off the coast of Wollongong and off the coast of Newcastle, these offshore floating wind turbines are just going to be an environmental disaster.
Well, Craig, it's a forest of machetes encircling Australia that our poor birds have to fly through in order to get to the shore. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with these ventures? I don't know if you remember, but there were two wave machines that they put in, which were meant to be green energy, and they're sitting there rotting in the bay. They couldn't even get rid of those, let alone hundreds of thousands of wind turbines.
Yeah. It's not only in the air that you've got this sort of like killing machine in the air. Remember, these things, this is the madness of these things, right? Because of the depth of the water off the New South Wales coast now, where you go off that Illawarra Escarpment, it quickly goes down to 300 metres, and then it goes down to 2 kilometres deep. So where they're building these things is half a kilometre to 2 kilometres deep. So you simply can't put the pylon of the turbine down 2 kilometres. These things are floating wind turbines. Now, firstly, good luck when you've got a big southerly buster coming in, down the south coast there in New South Wales, whipping up those oceans, where you get waves up to 15 metres, up to 17 metres high, swells there. Good luck for that. But what you've also got, you've got to anchor these things to the seabed. So you're going to have, just imagine this, you've got 300 floating wind turbines and you've got all these mooring cables from the wind turbine going down to the seabed, crisscrossing each other like a plate of spaghetti or a spider's web. And guess what? Right in the middle of a whale migration zone. Now, this has never been done anywhere in the world before. It's all experimental. No one truly knows how many whales will be trapped or the environmental devastation it will have on there. And that's their plan. And then you had Chris Bowen the other day on television saying that offshore wind is consistent power. It is the bloke truly does not know what he's talking about. The government's data shows the wind turbine, wind farm there off Wollongong is actually on par with what we have on land in New South Wales. Yes, if you go a little bit further off the coast, you can get slightly better performance, but it is still intermittent electricity generation that has to be backed up. It is not consistent power. And to think the energy minister, and this is not some zealot saying it on the ABC's Q&A or something like this. This is the federal energy minister that sits in cabinet making completely incorrect and misleading statements is basing these decisions to spend billions and billions of dollars.
Also, it's ugly. No one wants to sit there with their pristine oceans full of steel, machetes, and cables. It's not what we were promised as part of this big green dream. But also, I take your point about the undersea cables. If anybody has watched Resident Evil, that opening scene in the tunnel, that's what the whales are facing if this is what we get Chris Bowen's dream here for offshore wind. But unfortunately, Craig, that's all we've got time for. Thank you so much for joining us here today for a bit of a rant about Labor.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be with you.